how positivity coaching can help psychologists and social workers earn more and actually enjoy their work. Hi, I'm Dr. Paul Jenkins. I'm a professional psychologist and positivity coach. A lot of clinicians that I've talked to over the years really feel somewhere deep inside of them that there's more to what they could offer. And they're right. Listen through the end. I've got a special gift for you as I share my journey with you and create some new possibilities. Come back with me about 15 years to an earlier part of my career. I had been practicing traditional psychotherapy. I had a busy outpatient child and adolescent practice. And by busy, I mean I was booked solid. You couldn't even get an appointment with me in months. I had a waiting list. And yet there was something inside of me that kept nagging at my heart and my mind, telling me there's more. There's more that I could be doing. I enjoyed my practice and I was doing a good job with it, but it still felt like there was more that I could do. And I was starting to struggle financially a little bit, even though I was booked out solid. There was one period where I had negative cash flow for 2 quarters in a row. Think about it. I'm paying for the opportunity to help people. Wait, does that make sense? And it doesn't make very good business sense. My expenses were exceeding my income, and that resulted in disaster from a financial perspective. Now, fast forward to today. Financially, it's a whole different picture for me now. In terms of the meaning that I experience in my practice, I am serving hundreds and thousands of people every day, including you right here on this channel. I'm enjoying my work more than I ever have. How did I get here? To understand that, let's go back to the time when I was struggling, because that was an important time for me to learn some things that I really needed to know. I remember at the time I was having dinner with a colleague of mine, Dr. Jeff McGee. He is a brilliant and powerful consulting psychologist. He knows business and he knows the psychology behind it. I was sitting at dinner with Dr. Jeff McGee and telling him about my situation. Now, this is the time when I was going downhill really fast. It looked pretty imminent that I would end up in a bankruptcy. And as I'm sharing my story with Dr. McGee, he's just kind of leaning in and he's listening. You know, he's got all the empathy of a professional psychologist as he listens to me telling my story. Well, as I finish up and I sit back, he sits up and he looks across the table at me and he says, "Paul, you suck." And I'm like, "Thanks, Jeff. I love you too." And then he followed up with that. He said, "No, I mean that in the most loving way. You suck resources," meaning, as evidenced by your financials, you're consuming more than you produce. Okay, well, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? If you consume more than you produce, you're going to have a negative flow, as evidenced by my financials at the time. It was about that same time period that one of my mentors and my financial advisor, Les McGuire, told me very directly, "Paul, you need to create more value for more people. If you're going to solve any economic problem, that's the answer. You've got to create more value for more people." And honestly, I was a little offended by that. I'm like, I'm doing good work here. He's like, "Oh, yeah. I don't argue with that at all. I just mean to solve your financial problem, you're going to have to create more value for more people, because that's what has the economic result of increasing your revenues and your income." So as I settled in on those ideas that I was consuming more than I was producing, and to fix that, I needed to create more value for more people, it started to open up my mind to some new possibilities. Now, if you're watching this video, which is silly because obviously you are. It probably means that you are connected to this idea in some way. Are you a clinician? Are you a psychologist, a social worker, a therapist who knows that there's more that you could do? Has there been a little bit of a financial struggle doing what you feel called to do and still not being compensated very well for it? At the time, I was blaming the economy. I was blaming my business partner. I was blaming the insurance companies that didn't compensate mental health professionals very well. I had all of these victim stories that I had created in my mind. Well, between Dr. McGee and Les McGuire, who opened my eyes to another solution that I had some control over, create more value for more people. I realized that there's a lot of people who are not going to sign up for psychotherapy. Unfortunately, psychotherapy sounds a little like therapy for psychos, and that's really unfortunate because it makes it inaccessible to a lot of folks who could really benefit from it. Long story short, I realized that to serve those people, they don't want a diagnosis. Who wants a diagnosis to pack around on their medical record? They don't want to be bothered with HIPAA. They don't want to have to meet all of the insurance requirements. And quite frankly, on the provider end, as a provider of mental health services, it was getting pretty old for me to fill out all the forms that were required and the pre-authorizations and the reauthorizations and qualifying for whatever level of service they're willing to compensate for. There were just a lot of roadblocks to actually serving people on the middle of the spectrum. What I mean by that, if you look at your mental health on a spectrum or a continuum, clear over here on the left end is the sick end, diagnosis, pathology, treatment. I'm really more passionate about the other end. And to explain what that is, let's go to the middle first, okay? Health, meaning not sick. You could be sick in bed, fever, throwing up. There comes a time you can get out of bed and you're not sick. But that doesn't mean you're truly fit, thriving, prospering. That's over here. Part of what I realized is that there's an underserved population in the middle. They're not quite in the therapy categorization. They don't qualify for a diagnosis necessarily. And everybody's got issues, right? Have you noticed? Everyone experiences the typical challenges and experiences that we have as human beings. Depression, anxiety, stress, relationship issues. But that doesn't mean that they're diagnosable. It might just mean that they're human. Welcome to Earth. It's how we roll. And then there's this other end of the spectrum where high-functioning, high-performing people engage coaches all the time, sometimes at very high fees to keep that productivity rolling. But we've got this underserved population in the middle. That's what was missing. Now, I just realized I promised you a gift at the end, but I can't wait till the end. Can I give this to you right now? This is my book, Pathological Positivity, where I share the story that I've just shared with you. You'll see different parts of it that are illuminated in here. In fact, chapter 1 is called Lightning Strikes. And that's when I went through that transformational period where financially, I wasn't making it, and I started to learn what I've shared with you here today. Just go to the URL on the screen, drpauljenkins.com/free book. I will put this in your hands. I'll pay for the book, you pay for the shipping. Sound like a good deal? That's the gift that I promised you, and I'll remind you again at the end as well. So let's just say that this story is resonating with you a little bit, and you can see yourself in my shoes. Where do you start? What I would recommend, if you're a clinician, you already have a really sweet skill set that allows you to serve people and create value for people. Start by incorporating principles of positive psychology into your current work with your current clients. As you learn principles of positive psychology, you can incorporate those in a way that is going to make sense to your clients. When I started to do this, I saw that these principles were making a bigger difference than some of the traditional therapeutic methods that I had learned back in graduate school and through my early career. That was exciting for me. Now, you might not know what all of those principles are or how you could apply them. And you don't have to know all of that right up front. Start with what you already have. And then keep your brain turned on because you're going to notice different things as you move forward that you can integrate and apply. And then As you see how this starts to work with your current clientele, you can add coaching services to your therapy services. This is where I started. I started by offering an actual service of personal development coaching. It can also be professional development, which is really attractive to leaders and entrepreneurs. It can be family development coaching, which is kind of like family therapy, but we're not giving anybody a diagnosis and it doesn't depend on an insurance company. Can you see some of the possibilities that are coming up with that? Now, I reached a place where I couldn't keep doing both. It just didn't work for me to try to do therapy and coaching in the same office with some of the same clients. And so I completely moved away from therapy. I haven't done that in 15 years now. And all I offer is positive psychology coaching. I enjoy my practice more now. I'm making more as income now. I think there's a bigger impact because I'm able to create more value for more people, including what we're doing here on the channel. I hope that gets the juices flowing a little bit for you. I promised you my book. You can get this for free. Go to drpauljenkins.com/free book. You pay for the shipping. I pay for the book. Okay, sound like a good deal? Now, when you get the fulfillment emails, if you have specific questions that I haven't addressed here in this video, or if this triggers something inside of you that says, hey, I want to have a conversation with Dr. Paul about this, just respond to those fulfillment emails and I will be happy to start a conversation with you or to answer additional questions. We've also got some other services available for people like you who are considering this transition. So let me know if I can help you. Thanks for being here.